key pillar in low self-esteem is blaming yourself, being self-deprecating and having a lot of critical thoughts. And that can very easily translate into blaming yourself disproportionately or assigning yourself responsibility for bad things that have happened, blaming yourself entirely for it, but completely forgetting to look at other factors or other contributing factors or who else is to blame. Instead, you say, it's my fault, because you're bad, because you're a failure, because you're not enough. You have these thoughts that just completely pummel and beat your self-esteem down, where you feel trapped and you feel you'll never be good enough. Well, one exercise I want to share with you is called the responsibility pie, and you can download that worksheet on my website. The link is in the description, but I'm going to walk through in this video how that works and how that worksheet and exercise is going to help you to look more realistically as to who is responsible and counteract the negative thoughts that you might be having. Before we get into it, I'm Desh, I'm a qualified counsellor, and my mission is to help you develop self-awareness. And one of the ways I've been doing that is been posting some free to download resources available on my website, and one of them is the responsibility pie. So I'm going to go into what that is right now. So this is the responsibility pie. As I said, it's available to download on my website. The link is in the description. So let's say things happen in your life that don't turn out as you want, or you blame yourself for, or maybe you're the kind of person that always blames yourself when something bad happens. Again, this is one of the pillars of low self-esteem. You always blame yourself, you're very critical of yourself, and it may be because you've experienced this growing up. People have usually blamed you, they desecrate you, they say bad things about you. Because of the lack of space to be able to challenge those thoughts, perhaps it wasn't safe to do so, it's something that you've just accepted and it's the way you've made sense of the world. Well, this exercise will help turn that on its head, because you get to see in reality how much you are to blame something, and oftentimes is not as much as you thought. So I'm going to share an example that comes from personal experience, but also from clients who have shared this in the past. This has been actually quite a common issue that's come up in sessions, and I think is a good one to focus on. It's the end of a friendship. My clients in the past have often mainly blamed themselves for that friendship ending. It's my fault, I'm a bad person, I was a bad friend, I wasn't there for them, that's why they no longer want anything to do with me. And so in this example, I'm going to say that the percentage blame of yourself is 70%. So step one is to write down what percentage you feel responsible for that event occurring, or for in this case, that friendship ending. So 70%. Then in step two, you've got to write down all the reasons that would have contributed to that friendship ending. So you could say, I was not a good friend, and you have to go into why. So just for reason's sake, I'm going to say I was not there for them. Okay. You may be like, they never expressed how they felt. They kept it to themselves. It might be that they had broken up with their partner. They had arguments with their family, and they lost their job. They were being judged and dismissed by others. Alright, so many things could have happened. It may be that you're saying, look, I wasn't a good friend, I wasn't there for them, I didn't know how they were feeling, but also they never expressed how they felt, so I just didn't know. They'd broken up with their partner, so they ended their relationship. They were having conflicts with their family, they'd also lost their job, but they were being judged and dismissed. So a lot of things may have happened to that person. There may have been a lot of things happening for you, yet you said that 70% of the responsibility of that friendship ending was down to you. And now in step three is where you look to assign different slices of the responsibility to those factors. So how much of that relationship ending was because I was not there for them? How much was it because they'd lost their job? How much was it because they had arguments with their family? So what you do is you can then start to assign different portions of the pie to those different factors. So just for argument's sake, I'm just going to do that. I'm going to say quarter was down to me. So that's 25% down to me. And what I'm just going to do, just so I can keep track, is put in here me. And I'll move that inside here, okay? Now, the next one, they've never expressed how they felt. I'm going to put it around, let's say, 10%. So, yeah, I need to know how they feel. They need to express that to me. But at the same time, I'm not going to hold that against them. It's very difficult to express how you feel, especially to a friend maybe you don't see that often. So I'll say, I'll just put the number 2 because it's second in the list, just for the ease of space. Obviously, this is your template. You can make it as big as you want, but I'm just walking through how you can complete this exercise. All right, next one is they had broken up with their partner. Man, I don't know. I mean, that's got to account for some of it, because imagine how emotionally devastated they feel. They probably feel they're not good enough as a result. Maybe they feel they're not worthy of continuing the friendship, and that's the reason it ended. Maybe they just want to be alone. They don't want to talk to anyone. Maybe that's the reason it ended. But either way, it's a significant event that's happened for them. It's got to be more, at least my responsibility, if not maybe more. But I'm going to say, again, around 25%. That's factor number 3. Factor number 4, they had arguments with their family. I know from being a friend with them, that they had a lot of conflicts with their family. That's one of the things they'd always speak to me about, was just how conflicted they were. They were really stressed by it. So I'm gonna, give it a good chunk. So that must be another reason why potentially they ended the friendship, was because of the stress that they just didn't have energy to continue that friendship. Maybe they didn't have energy to continue the friendship. Maybe they felt ashamed to tell me. They didn't want to tell me. There could be so many reasons. But these are all factors that are contributing to the end of the friendship. Number 5, they lost their job. Again, maybe they are just purely focused on getting a new job, and until then they're cutting their social life. You never know. Around half of that to that aspect. Okay. That's number 5. And then number 6 is they were being judged and dismissed by others. They received so much ridicule. Plus all these things had happened. No wonder they just didn't feel worthy to continue in a friendship. Or maybe they lost interest in me. Or maybe they were so overwhelmed they decided, look, I don't have the energy to be a good friend at the moment. I need to stop, focus on my life and kind of get things sorted out. And maybe they just didn't feel comfortable to talk to me about that. As much as I would have liked them to talk to me about that as their friend, maybe they didn't feel comfortable. Maybe they felt ashamed. And I know from experience of friends who are like this, and I'm sure you do too. But here, I'm just going to say the rest is probably because they've just been judged. They're tired, they're fed up. So they feel like giving up. So I'm going to put that at number 6. What's interesting about this exercise is it challenges your initial impression of how much responsibility you had. Because you noticed at the beginning, I felt mainly responsible, 70% responsible for that friendship ending. But when I come over here, it shows I'm only 25% responsible, which means that there are so many factors that I hadn't thought about that this exercise allowed me to think about. Because the truth is that friend probably not thinking about you. Or in this case, that friend's probably not thinking about me. Look at everything else they have going on. They've broken up with their partner. They've lost their job. They're having arguments. They're feeling judged. I'm probably last on their list of people who they feel maybe let down by. Yet I'm attributing 70% of the friendship ending to me. So this exercise allows you to challenge your initial impression of how much responsibility you have, but it also allows you to think of the bigger picture. What else is going on? Use empathy to see how they're feeling, what else is going on in their life, and what has really impacted their ability to maintain that friendship. And of course, it's not just about them, it's also about you. There may be things you could have done differently. In that case, I could have maybe just said, look, I know you've spoken to me a lot about how your family, you get into arguments with them. It seems to really concern you. Have you considered getting counselling? Have you considered, talking to a professional about this? I see how stressed you are by this. I wonder, does anyone else see how stressed you are? I could have done that. And I know many of my clients have said I could have just asked different questions or been there for them. But to take on that much responsibility as highlighted here, I don't think it's fair. Because when you start to break it down, your responsibility is far likely to be far less than what you think it is. And again, this probably links back not to the event happening or the friendship ending, but more, is it my low self-esteem that's causing me to think I'm more responsible than I am? This exercise really allows you to become insightful and allows you to think of the bigger picture and see realistically what responsibility and what role you have in that event happening. Comment below on your experiences of using this exercise and what realizations you've had from it. I know I've used it, it's been very enlightening for me, and honestly, I forget to check in with myself when I'm starting to blame myself too much for things, and this is something I've done in the past especially. I'm better at catching myself now at it, but this exercise in particular was just a really interesting way to look at it. Please like and subscribe, there's going to be more content coming out very soon.